So, children, today I am going to tell you an interesting story that Betal has told to King Vikramaditya. The story is named as The Greatest Sacrifice. At the end of the story, I'll be asking you a question. I hope you'll be answering it. Once upon a time, there lived a king named Chandrasena who was an able administrator and was enriched with high human values like bravery, kindness, generosity, and justice. His subjects were indeed happy, prosperous, and proud under his sovereignty. Besides that, King Chandrasena enjoyed a very warm and harmonious relationship with his neighbors. One day, when the work was in full swing in the court, a person named Vishnu came to meet the king. After bowing before the king, the man addressed, Your Majesty, I am a Brahmin by caste. I am quite capable and can be serviceable in many ways. I have a good knowledge of weapons. However, presently I am jobless. Have come in your shelter to seek something suitable job. The king felt that the man was bright and honest. He asked the man, Vishnu, considering your calm abilities, I am ready to bestow the responsibilities of my personal security officer. What would you like to get in return? 100 gold coins per day, replied the man instantly. What? Exclaimed the surprised king. Don't you think that the sought wage is much more than what it should be? The people present in the court too were stunned to hear such unexpected demand. However, Vishnu was adamant on his demand. My charges are just, replied the man. Once you experience the quality of the service provided me, you yourself will be very happy. Answer by Vishnu. King Chandrasena liked the confidence and firmness of the Brahmin. He appointed him as his personal security officer. Vishnu indeed proved himself an able, honest, and loyal security officer. For him, his work was no less than worship, and he performed it every day with much dedication and devotion. The king was happy and had no regrets. On this decision, however, he often wondered what Vishnu would be doing with so much money, for he had only 4 members in his family: wife, a son, a daughter, and he himself. The king has observed that Vishnu and his family members lived a very humble life. Out of curiosity, one day king asked one of his spies to get more information about Vishnu's life and his movements. For the next few days, the spies followed Vishnu closely and keenly observed his daily activities. And then the spies returned to the king to unreveal the secret. Your Majesty, after the whole night's duty, Vishnu collects his wage early in the morning from the royal treasury. After leaving the palace, he visits few temples, a charity organization meant for Brahmins and the poor people. Everywhere he donates 25 coins for their well-being. He then pays a visit to orphanage for children and then to sick lads. There is each organization he donates 10 gold coins from the wage. The leftover paltry 5 gold coins from his wage he keeps with him for the maintenance of his family. The king was stunned to hear this. He had never imagined that a man who was no ready to compromise even a bit on his daily remuneration was actually providing selfless service and help to the needy and downtrodden. The king felt the sudden elevation in honor and praise for Vishnu. Chandrasena was proud to have such an able, honest, and kind employee. Now the king had no more doubts about Vishnu. One night, King Chandrasena was sleeping in his chamber. Vishnu was on duty, guarding from outside the chamber. Suddenly, the king awoke to hear the wailing of a woman. Here, mourning was so sorrowful and compelling that Chandrasena could not sleep. He asked Vishnu to inquire the reason behind her cry. Vishnu at once left the direction of the sound. Following the wailing, he reached the crematory. There he found a beautiful woman sitting on a tree and crying in grief. Strange, Vishnu exclaimed, and see her, a lonely woman, crying in such a strange place and at such an odd hour. Who are you? Asked Vishnu. The woman, who was still sobbing, replies, I am goddess Lakshmi. I am here because evil Saturn has removed me all from all my place, and now he is willing to cast his spell sight on those who have been enjoying my grace. I am crying for my devotees. King Chandrasena and his kingdom has been basking under my grace. I feel shattered to see this restructuring destruction so near. Vishnu was stunned to hear her. He asked, Goddess, is there any way out of to save my master and his kingdom from this calamity? Goddess replied, King Chandrasena and his kingdom can be saved on one condition. If someone sacrifices his own son in Mahakal temple, the Saturn will be pleased and it turns into harm king. In return, it will not harm King Chandrasena and his kingdom. The goddess vanished after conveying her message. The loyal security officer Vishnu was quite perturbed to hear such inauspicious message. I must do something to save my king, thought Vishnu, and proceeded homeward. Back in the palace, the king, who had heard the wailing, was quite anxious. He could not wait for Vishnu and followed him to crematory. There he overheard the conversation between the security guard and goddess. However, when he saw Vishnu going somewhere other than the palace, he followed him quietly. On reaching home, Vishnu informed his wife about the waiting disaster. The couple discussed a little and then dared to think that they themselves should do something to evade the crisis. They called their only son and apprised him for the whole situation. The brave son of Vishnu came forward and said, Father, if my life can save the king and the kingdom, I am willing to sacrifice it. Please go ahead. Without any hesitation, the four of them then left their house to Mahakal temple. The king, who was secretly hearing their conversation, also followed them. On reaching there, Vishnu beheaded his son in front of idol. However, Vishnu's daughter, who was standing there, felt her grief unbearable. She quickly picked up a sword and killed herself. Now, poor mother, who was yet to come in terms of losing her son, could not bear the death of her daughter. She felt her life worthless and killed herself with the same sword. The pain dramatic turns the event shocking Vishnu, considering his life meaningless. Without his wife and children, he picked up the sword and beheaded himself in one knock. The king, who was observing the whole incident from some distance, was horrified to see the whole target event tragic. He was unable to believe his own eyes that the entire family sacrificed themselves for the cause which was not directly related to them. The king plunged into deep grief, considering himself the reason for the whole tragic turn. He too picked up the sword and dashed on his neck, thus killing himself immediately. Now, children, Betala has completed the story and asking King Vikramaditya, out of all the sacrifices that were made at that night, whose sacrifice is more worth, and whose sacrifice is more evident, whose sacrifice is the greatest. I will say what Vikramaditya has told in my next chapter, but would love to listen what you guys are thinking and whose sacrifice is the greatest. Waiting for your reply.